This is Gavin Fantasy Football League Updates.
Welcome back to Fantasy Football Updates. This week, you are not joined by Nathan Sport Talk. It is Gavin Sport Talk today. He is too embarrassed watching his team lose every week, so he's got me to do the recaps this week. First game we got on the docket, we're going straight into the Boas. The Boas are looking like a great team right now. They're top of the league. They're scoring 160 points on the dot against the Cancun Chameleons. Nathan Sport Talk had the Chameleons winning this one. That's his first wrong answer of the week. He actually did pretty good though. He had a 3-2 overall record on the predictions. So we'll go over some of those later. But first, we're jumping into the Boas Chameleons. We got fantastic quarterback play from the Boas. C.J. Stroud, newcomer on the team, as well as Sam Darnold popping off for 27-28 respectively. We got some decent points from Jordan Mason, Quinshon Judkins, who's also a new player on this team. Brian Thomas Jr., Chase Brown, all okay amount of points. And then the big man, Emeka Egbuka, my steal of the draft, 31 points. He's looking better than I could have imagined. And then off the bench, Calvin Ridley, late wire pickup. He could have slotted in, but Boas didn't really need it this week. On the side of the Chameleons, they have not great quarterback play. Josh Allen, 19, which is okay for him. Drake May, 12, not great. Devon A-Chain had a decent week. And then Rachaad White coming in big on the flex position, 23 points. Wasn't quite enough, though, especially with the Seahawks defense coming in with -5 points. You might as well just not have started the defense, man. What are you doing? On the bench, Tua actually had a pretty good game. You could have slotted him in. Ladd, you pretty high round pick. You took him out of the lineup, and he made you pay for that. All right. That's the Boas and the Chameleons. Cut this part out, Nathan, please. All right, we're back. The Bunnies versus the Avengers. This one, Nathan Sport Talk gave it to the Bunnies, but they got walloped by the Avengers. Avengers scoring 184 points. That is crazy, especially because half their team is injured. We'll start with the Avengers, the winning team. They had Bo Nix, Matthew Stafford combined for some pretty good points. Jahmyr Gibbs, pretty good. And then the player of the week, absolute steal, Rico Dowdle, the top scorer. Nobody would have guessed that. Pretty okay running or wide receiver room. Dalton Kincaid comes up big. It's pretty good. Pick up there. The Colts defense, 16 points, is pretty massive. And then off the bench, I mean, hardly any of your bench players played, but you did get Stephon Diggs, who did pop off. He might be seeing a slot into the Avengers lineup next week. And then other side, we have the Bunnies. The Bunnies had Jay Herb and Geno Smith combined for like 20 points total. Not great. Jonathan Taylor is proving to be one of the best fantasy players. He got you some points, but one of the few people to get you points. Jay Jettis, Saquon, first round picks getting you some decent points too. But another negative point defense coming in. The Rams defense, -2. Brooklyn Bunnies, that's multiple times in a row. You should just start no defense. Come on. And then off the bench, Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt. He popped off. He'll see the lineup again. Bunnies will probably slot him at the flex or in the running back position, and then he'll probably get like a 3-point game. But he did pretty good this week. So the Avengers took this one down. They moved to 3-2. At the last one, Boas moved to 4-1. Chameleons moved to 3-2 as well. We're seeing a lot of 3-2 teams. And then the game that kicked Nathan Sport Talk out. The Tucson Gila Monsters take on the Flying Squirrels. Nathan predicted that the Flying Squirrels would win this one, and he was right. The Gila Monsters moved to 0-5. It's looking pretty bad. Them and the Bunnies are taking all the losses because there's a lot of 3-2 teams, 4-1 team with the Boas. Let's go Boas. But the Guantanamo Bay Flying Squirrels avoid being one of those bottom feeders. Moved to 2-3. That's recoverable. They scored 157 points to the Tucson Gila Monsters 125. They got newcomer Dak Prescott, dropped some points. That trade with Prescott Stroud is looking like it benefited both teams actually so far. We'll see how it plays out in the next few weeks. Spencer Rattler taking a flyer on him, and he does pretty good. James Cook, Mr. Consistent, is not good this week. Interesting. But then Kyron on Thursday Night Football, you could already see Nathan Sport Talk crashing out before the first game even ended. 31 points. That was a big one. JSN 27. Dave Montgomery 18.22 with a passing and rushing touchdown. Pretty good week. 157 points is solid. And then not any big misses off the bench. Dylan Gabriel did pretty good, but he would have been exactly the same as Spencer Rattler. Now we move to the Tucson Gila Monsters. Sorry, Nathan. It's been brutal. It's what you get for winning, though. Jalen Hurts, probably your only good player on the entire team. 19.5. That's pretty good. Bryce Young, 12 is meh. Your running back's atrocious. You were banking on Woody Marks, and he did not put up anything. Jamar Chase with some fourth quarter heroics did get you 29 points. Didn't matter. Still scored 125. Yet to reach that 130 mark. Tet McMillan, he's looking pretty good. Okay fantasy production this week. Texans defense, pretty good. Miss off the bench was Trevor Lawrence. My main man, Trevor Lawrence, with 26 points on Monday night. Wouldn't have been enough, but it would have been nice to have him on the team. All right. Empire Strikes Back. Lyndon the Crow. Game of the week. Nathan Sport Talk predicted another loss for Lyndon the Crow, as he always does. Empire takes the win, and he was right. Empire does take the win. Moved to 3-2, sending the Crow back to 3-2. 6 3-2 teams, I believe, after this week. 153 to 139. The Empire, Cam Ward, even with his win, didn't do all that great. Jane Daniels, pretty good, 17 points. Christian McCaffrey and Puka Nacua are just... That's despicable that you've got both of them, and they're producing every week for you. It's crazy. Jake Ferguson looking like a tight end one for some reason. He just gets the ball all the time. And then pretty decent play from the rest of your team. And he misses off the bench. Jalen Waddle, Travis Kelce. I guess Travis Kelce wasn't because you have Jake Ferguson. How do you have both of them? That's crazy. Jalen Waddle, 23 points. He might be slotting in for a pretty good position with Tyreek out. Maybe he'll slot in for Xavier Worthy next week. We'll see. And then Lyndon the Crow, Justin Fields put up a good game. I think he's a good fantasy quarterback. Javonte proves to be consistent somehow in the Cowboys offense. Gentry, pretty good game. Your receivers did equally okay. Jawan Johnson, not great output. Will Rijkaard, missing field goals. Can't be doing that. Misses off the bench. There really weren't any. Christian Kirk had 10. That technically was a miss, but nothing crazy. Both teams, 3-2, moving into next week. And finally, we have the Zestmeisters versus the Rocky City Rough Riders. Both teams moving to 3-2. Everyone's 3-2. Let me check my notes real quick. Nathan Sport Talk had the Zestmeisters winning this one, so he was right. Moving his record to 3-2, like I said, pretty good. More right than wrong. 161 from the Zestmeisters, being the second highest score this week, just over the Boas, and behind the Avengers by a pretty good margin. To the Rough Riders, 129. See, there wasn't many close games this week. No nail biters. The Empire Crow kind of went down to Monday Night Football, but not really. Hopefully that'll turn around next week during rivalry week, where we get some crazy matchups, Monday night thrillers. That'd be sweet. Moving on to the Zestmeisters, they got Patrick Mahomes, Daniel Jones. Pretty good output for them, Mahomes especially. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Nico Collins, a lethal wide receiver duo. They did pretty good. Sam Laporta did great. Tony Pollard did good. Lions defense did good. Just a solid output this week. Misses off the bench include Devontae Smith. He did pretty good. Njoku actually did pretty good. Not more than Laporta, though. And then the Rocky City Rough Riders. Not a horrible game. 129 is a little bit less than average. They got Baker Mayfield putting up 26. He's been putting up numbers. Jackson Dart, actually pretty good game. Derrick Henry is looking a little bit, I don't know, he's looking iffy with the Ravens offense entirely. Maybe when Lamar comes back, he'll start popping off again, but I don't know. Skydaboo, decent output, 14 points. Cortland Sutton is your highest non-quarterback with only 17.9. Just no one was reaching any great numbers other than Baker Mayfield for you. Keon Coleman, 10 points. A lot of just okay performances. Not enough. You were missing Bijan this week for sure. You'll have him back next week. He'll probably do great. Jared Goff was a big miss off the bench. All right. That does it for Gavin Sport Talk. See ya. Send it to Nathan.
Well, thank you so much, Gavin Sports Talks, for our freshly week recap of week 5. I have come out of my vacation time. I have taken a week, or I should say a couple days, to gather myself, my thoughts, and I had to come back for Rivalry Week, the best week in the fantasy football season. Couldn't be more thrilled to bring you this one. There's so much on the line. 2 teams going head-to-head, playing for arguably either a punishment or a reward, depending on the direction they want to take, are the best week. And there's nothing much more to say about it. Everybody's pumped up. Everybody's ready to go. So let's jump right into Rivalry Week. Before that happens, we do have a trade to announce. It's involving Lyndon the Crow and the Bangkok Ball and Boas. The Boas, who you just heard from their manager on Gavin Sports Talks, he brought you a massive trade this week. Chase Brown is on the move to Lyndon the Crow for DeAndre Swift, who is a homegrown type of guy, always ends up in the Ball and Boas squad. And then they add rookie Travion Henderson, maybe a breakout spot coming down the line for the rookie. I think that's what the Ball and Boas are banking on. At 4-1, they can take those risks. Well, Lyndon the Crow trying to get maybe a little bit more boost with Joe Flacco coming into a Cincinnati Bengals squad that might throw him the football a little bit more. So there's your trade update. It's time for our rivalry update. Matchup number 1 of Rivalry Week. We start out with what I think to be an extremely solid one, the Dude Bowl. A fun name, and 2 squads that, dude, are playing, well, one of them, their best fantasy football right now. The other one, well, a little bit of a surprise. It's the Brooklyn Bunnies taking on the Guantanamo Bay Flying Squirrels. Who would have thought the Bunnies start their year 1-4? I don't think anybody expected this from the 2021 champ, especially with me ranking them preseason at number 1. Them having some extremely high-powered offensive pieces. And the Flying Squirrels, on the other hand, well, they're coming off their best offensive performance. No, we do not need to talk about who it was against, but they are coming off a great performance. Their offense looked excellent, and I think that trend could continue this week. We don't have turning point players heading into Rivalry Week because every player is crucial for a Rivalry Week. Rather, we've got just some key players to key in on, some impact players, and kind of talking strategy for both sides. I think you look first at the Flying Squirrels. I think you got just that solid group of position players and some excellent trading pieces at quarterback. Dak Prescott. We're probably going to see Brock Purdy for the first time this week as well. I think they both play extremely solid with favorable matchups on their hands. And then looking elsewhere, well, for the Flying Squirrels, Kyron Williams, James Cook, Smith and Jigba, I think all have pretty good games. On the other side, though, for the Brooklyn Bunnies, 1-4, desperate for a victory. Their offense hasn't looked half bad. They've just played some really good opponents, I think is what you have to mark this down on. I think the Brooklyn Bunnies have this one circled, and they, obviously, it's a rivalry, but they need this one to be circled and penciled in as a W to get back on track. And I think the matchups help them a little bit. Justin Herbert has a solid matchup. Same with Love, who's off the bye week. Jonathan Taylor against Arizona. Saquon Barkley on Thursday Night Football against the New York Giants. I think both of those are fringe 20-plus point performances. And then down the board, I think Quentin Johnston, no Justin Jefferson this week, so he is your wide receiver one. I think QJ steps up and continues to shine after really his first down week this season. I think overall, not much explaining to do on both sides. Two high-powered offenses, a high-scoring game, but I'm going with an 8-point spread on this one. For the Dude Bowl, with BW3s on the line, the winner gets BW3s, the loser pays for such. Give me the Brooklyn Bunnies to get back on track. An 8-point spread. They find a way to win. I think that running back tandem of Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley with massive matchups, you could be looking at 2 30-plus point fantasy productions this week. So don't be surprised when the Brooklyn Bunnies offense shows up in week 6. So we flip over to our next matchup. We'll go to the Bunny Burrow Classic. Not much explanation needed in the name. It's the Zestmeisters and Linden the Crow. Two teams that I think have taken the league by notice. They have stormed into the front runners in the league. The Linden the Crow won in 2022. Zestmeisters looking for their first playoff appearance. They're looking on their way to do so with that wide receiving core. And that's where I want to start with those key players. Rome Odunze, Amon-Ra St. Brown. No Nico Collins this week. He's on bye. But when you have Rome Odunze and Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think you're going to be fine this week. St. Brown gets a difficult matchup in Kansas City, and Rome Odunze, I think, thrives against Washington. I still like St. Brown against Kansas City, and Patrick Mahomes has kind of returned to a QB top 5 performer. I believe right now, at this moment, he's ranked QB2. I think another 20-plus point performance from him as well. I think you're looking at some good competition, though, on the other side for Linden the Crow. I think they've got some quality matchups. Javonte Williams has been extremely good. He's a top 3 fantasy running back right now. Shocking. Ashton Genty continues to trend forward. How about Devontae Adams figures it out this week? The older vet continues to be consistent. And Chase Brown makes an impact in his first week starting. And everybody knows Justin Fields is going to find a way to get 20-plus fantasy points, no matter how horrible that Jets team plays. That's just the way it goes. I've still yet to pick Linden the Crow. So we flip over to my predictions for the Bunny Burrow Classic. They are playing for a new bed this week. Yeah, that's about as far as I'll go in the details. Give me a 2-point spread in this one. And give me the Zestmeisters. We are riding with the Zestmeisters and a plus 2-point spread. I think they've got a little bit more firepower at the quarterback position, a little bit more flair and razzle-dazzle with the wide receivers. Give me the Zestmeisters to get off to their best start in franchise history over their rivals for this year, Linden the Crow. Matchup number 3. Cue the music. Family Ties. The Family Ties Bowl. This one is going to be a fun one. You've got the 2023 champs, the Michigan Avengers, and the Cancun Chameleons doing battle. Michigan Avengers, that wide receiving corps is riddled with injury. Not to mention, Brock Bowers has just not been worth the top 3-round pick you took with him. The quarterback play's been nice, though. Bo Nix, Caleb Williams have been good. No Rico Dowdle probably this week with Chuba Hubbard set to maybe be healthy. If not, expect Rico Dowdle after a 200-yard performance back in the lineup. So we'll see. Zach Charbonnet, he's been hit or miss, maybe over 10, maybe over 11 if he gets into the end zone. He's kind of vultured picks, touchdowns, that is, from Kenneth Walker. Because that makes sense, right? Kenneth Walker gets all the yards, then we let Zach Charbonnet run it in because that makes sense. Anywho, tough injuries right now for the Michigan Avengers, but still finding ways to win. That's this manager's MO, and I don't see him getting away from that. Well, the Cancun Chameleons, well, they bring in the massive guns. Josh Allen, Devon Achane. Drake London's back this week after a bye. Pretty good week, I think, all in all. A.J. Brown, a little bit iffy. And you do have Rachaad White, which Bucky Irving out for the Avengers most likely for the next couple of weeks. Rachaad White's a great option. He's going to play great, and the Michigan Avengers probably going to get a tough taste of their own medicine with a massive waiver wire pickup for the Chameleons on that side. So looking at this one, I'm actually taking a 6-point spread, and I'm taking the Cancun Chameleons to get it done over their rivals, the Michigan Avengers. That decision, what they're playing for, is still to be determined. We'll have that next week for you, but don't worry. They're playing for something. There's something on the line here, and it means business because this is the Family Ties Bowl. Matchup number 4, we're flying through these right now. It's the Great American Rubber Match. You just heard from Gavin Sports Talks. And here we go. It's the Empire Strikes Back and the Bangkok Ball and Boas. This series all knotted up at 4, and they're playing for some pizza. Who doesn't love a good battle for some pizza? I think interesting position. Ball and Boas trying to make trades, trying to get healthy with guys injured, not playing well, trying to really figure some things out, specifically that running back position. And then the Empire, well, they're just cruising. They were my projected 10 seed. They don't look like it. They look like a front runner because of 2 names, Christian McCaffrey and Puka Nacua, the 7th and 8th pick in our drafts this year. Both have been excellent. A guaranteed 20-plus points a week. They are wide receiver 1 and running back 1, and I expect one of them, let's go Puka Nacua this week, to be the top scorer of the week. They're both excellent. You know they're both going to be excellent. You mix in Jaden Daniels in that, well, it's a recipe for success for the Empire Strikes Back. I think they have been excellent this year. And then the Bangkok Ball and Boas, well, their offense, they've kind of sputtered. They found a way to improve to 4-1 last week. That's what you've got to do. Survive and advance. I think this is going to be a fun one this week. They've got to start Aaron Rodgers and Sam Darnold, with Lamar still dealing with a lingering injury. We'll see how that one shapes up. However, I'm going a 10-plus point spread in this rivalry. The Empire Strikes Back continue to be the storyline this year, figuring it out, led by the number 1 wide receiver and number 1 running back in the league, Christian McCaffrey and Puka Nacua. Give me the Empire in the Great American Rubber Match. And our final matchup, the game of the week, it's the Founders Classic. The 2 league managers clash for the 6th time. We actually chatted with each manager this week. So let's take it over to the interview ahead of the Founders Classic. Got to be the game of the week, right? Rivalry week.
Got to be.
Founders Bowl. We got the 2 managers, the league managers at that, going at it for the 6th time, or the 7th time, I should say. Arguably the worst game for me. I am 1-5. I am not that bad against any other team. In general, I'm not bad at all, but I'm 0-5 this year. You have dominated this rivalry. What's kind of been the game plan, man?
The game plan is obviously just put out there a good lineup every week and trusting, the guys to go out there and take care of it and, keep the rivalry going and keep it home. Don't let things get out of home. And, I'll touch on that here in a minute with my announcement, but, gotta keep the hardware at home.
Already hitting at things. Wow. Okay. Well, I wanted to do a little bit of deep dive one-on-one about your team, where you're at. Your running back room has, for the most part, been pretty excellent. Bijan Robinson, Cam Scattaboo has emerged. And then obviously Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry. How great has it been for that running back room to really thrive?
Yeah, it's been great. Obviously Derrick Henry's had some down weeks besides week 1. So, we're definitely making kind of a decision this week whether to bench him. But, it was great getting Scattaboo. Kind of, I had him on my radar initially heading into the season as a guy who could really break out. And for him to have kind of start breaking out and obviously take over the dominant role in that backfield and shown that he can produce and stuff like that definitely has been a great waiver wire pickup for the team. And then obviously Bijan's guaranteed points every week, guaranteed great performance. And with how Chase has been playing this year, my draft pick strategy with the number 1 just seems to be playing out perfectly. So
I knew the shot was coming. Somehow Jamar Chase, I think, lands to me at 3. You took my guy in Bijan Robinson at 1. We all understand why. The receiving room for you, though, has kind of been the issue. A lot of injuries, a lot of figuring things out. What's kind of been the thought process there and figuring that room out truly?
Yeah, honestly, it's been really up and down. Tyreek losing for the season was rough. He was doubted. He didn't maybe play as great as Tyreek has in previous years, but definitely, had a good season ahead so far. And then have that season-ending injury. Terry's been banged up in and out of the lineup, even when he's been in the lineup. Potentially, was that injury kind of lingering around? Was that why his performance maybe wasn't at super par? Plus, Jaden Daniels kind of having a bit of a sophomore slump this year. But obviously we're just gonna kind of look to, find some consistent guys, get them in the lineup, maybe take a flyer or two at the flex position with the wide receiver. But we'll figure it out. Potentially trade, get a good standard guy for some of the guys who maybe be struggling in the league right now.
Well, talking about struggling, it pains me to say this, and you've set me up for this. I am 0-5. I don't know what I have to do. The team's got to figure something out. Maybe Joe Flacco's the answer. I don't know. But what do you think coming into a matchup where your rival is 0-5 and has yet to score over 130?
It definitely provides a bit of security, in knowing that we might be able to take home this win, especially coming off the loss last week. But obviously this is a rivalry game. Teams never play how you expect them to during rivalry week. And I would have to say that my team maybe is on a bit of a down curve right now. We've had some injuries, lost some guys, still kind of figuring out the lineup presently. So it'll be interesting to see. And obviously we have a lot of guys, and obviously Chase with the Flacco trade this week definitely could have a great week, which could be the demise of the game this week. So.
Well, I'm hoping to get back on track, man. The key word, you never know how a team will play in a rivalry week. I'm hoping it brings out the best in my team, and it is all movement forward. Well, I won't tell you necessarily my prediction yet. You've got an announcement to make. I'll let you make this ahead of my prediction for the Founders Bowl.
Yeah, so obviously this rivalry has some deep-rooted history, between the two commissioners and stuff like that. So I went ahead and think, what better way to celebrate, one of the best rivalries in the league. And obviously between the two commissioners with a lot at stake and stuff like that. So I went ahead and, having been held it for 3 years, makes sense. And having hold it right now, I'd like to announce the establishment of the
Oh my,
official Commissioners Cup between the teams.
no
So,
way!
obviously the 2024 Rocky River Rough Riders won the championship, won the game. So, we have the cup currently, but obviously this cup will travel between the two teams with each year with the rivalry game. But hoping to keep the Commissioners Cup here at home. So.
That is incredible. I had no idea about this. Don't show the people the fine details of that because, as I mentioned, I have won it once. I need that now. Oh my gosh, this has just elevated the rivalry. I need that. I could lose every other game this year. I need that cup.
Yeah,
Oh,
I figured it would definitely establish a little something more to the rivalry. We do have the 2023 Fort Worth Hypnotoads here, so that there is some representation for our ball teams. But obviously, 3 of the 4 years have been dominated by teams led by me. But obviously, great cup. Gotta keep it at home is my hope.
looks sturdy, man. I'm excited. I think listen, I want that more than anything now. I mean, you have just given my team more motivation. And this waiver wire, I'm feeling good about the waiver wire. All right. I'm feeling a little more motivated.
Yeah, obviously, and we'll have to see kind of how the waiver lies and stuff like that. I have a couple claims. We'll see if any of them go through, but hopefully, hands out. And all I can ask for is a great game where the Rough Riders come out top. Preferably, maybe another Monday night thriller where I don't have Josh Allen this year to drop 40, but someone comes back and wins the game on Monday night. So.
Last year, man, Josh Allen took it to me. Your defense took it to me as well, I believe, to get you that come from behind victory. I don't necessarily remember exactly Monday night matchups. I don't necessarily know if I have any this week. You might. It'd be horrible if that's how this one goes again. But I think the first stepping stone for me is 130 points. That's what we need this week. That is awesome. That is, sorry, Shelly's fork, but that is the best prize in the entire rivalry.
Yeah,
Oh,
so really excited to see what some of these rivalry series that we're starting this year kind of start and see where everyone lays out and how the week goes. But obviously, good old official Commissioners Cup needs to stay right here with the Rocky River Rough Riders. So.
I love it. I love it, man. I'm not going to agree about you keeping that cup, but boy, am I going to do my best to get that back in hands. Gotta get the Gila Monster started somewhere. No way better than to get back on track against your rival. Awesome stuff, man. Closing thoughts ahead of the Founders Cup game of the week.
You know, I would have to say, hopefully we can kind of pull out a victory. Obviously the waiver wire might change up the lineups a little bit, but knowing that I have Bijan back in the lineup and his bye week's out and done for the year definitely makes me a little more confident heading into future weeks and, see where kind of the rest of the guys kind of lay out. So
Looking forward to it. Best of luck, man. That is awesome.
thank you. Thank you.
So you've heard the conversation. You've heard us kind of go back and forth. The big glaring issue for the Rough Riders is Derrick Henry. He's truly a turning point player this week. He's probably going to start in the flex because we know Bijan's going to be consistent. We'll see. Derrick Henry could easily make or break this game for the Rocky River Rough Riders. And the Gila Monsters, we need to turn it around. We need to figure this out. No better way to get back on track than win over your rival. I don't want to be the only team in fantasy football without a win this year. That's just the matter of the fact at this point. This is the worst fantasy championship hangover all time. This is horrible, but there is still time to save this season, and it starts with Joe Flacco and Jamar Chase. I can't believe I'm saying that. Anyways, we know what we're playing for now. It's ride or die. I want that Founders Cup. It's coming home to the Nathan Sports Talks channel. It has to. But is that what the spread says? We look at it. 0-5 Tucson. 3-2 Rocky River Rough Riders. This one should tell the story, right? It should just be right there. You should know who we're taking. But in a 4-point spread. Give me the Tucson Gila Monsters. Rivalries mean more. And this one with the Founders Cup means way more now than ever. We've got the lucky Tucson tie. We've got everything rolling for us. I believe in the Gila Monsters. They finally get in the win column in the game of the week, and everything's going to turn around. I feel it. The energy, the mojo. We've got Taylor in at tight end now, a new face. Lawrence is back in. We have figured it out, and boy, are we winning this week. I believe. That's when you're supposed to say, I believe back. Oh, goodness. Anyways. That'll do it for Rivalry Week. We are pumped up. We are ready to go, and we are stoked. The Founders Classic, and that matter, the rest of the rivalries. We are ready to go. Hope you're tuned in all week long. We'll have updates next week on the results of Rivalry Week and getting you ready for Week 7. Who knows if I'll be here? We'll find out. Isn't that the excitement of this all? Boy, I hope I'm here telling you I won finally. But that'll do it for me. Big wins on Rivalry Week is what we're hoping for. Until next time, go Gila Monsters. We're hoping to bring home the cup for just the second time in franchise history. Good luck to all of those rivalries out there, and we will see you again real soon post Rivalry Week.